You have 120 seconds to reach your muster station. This is a rule for every person on board. They live and work on an offshore oil platform. In an emergency, this simple rule decides who lives. The brutal truth of this life is not found in the storms or the isolation. It is found in the numbers, the rules, and the cold, hard procedures that govern every minute of every day. This place is a world away from the one you know. It is a city of steel, anchored to the seabed in the middle of a vast and empty ocean. The journey here begins long before you see the water. It starts with a medical exam. You must be perfectly healthy. Any hidden condition could become a deadly liability hundreds of miles from a hospital. Then comes the training. You are submerged in a simulated helicopter crash. You must learn to escape underwater, in the dark, while upside down. You are taught to fight fires with powerful hoses and to give first aid to a wounded colleague. Only after passing these tests are you allowed to board the helicopter that will take you to your new home. The flight can last for hours. You sit in a survival suit, shoulder to shoulder with strangers. The roar of the rotors is constant. Below, the land disappears. It is replaced by an endless expanse of grey or blue water. There is nothing. No ships, no islands, no signs of life. Then a shape appears on the horizon. It grows from a tiny speck into a complex structure of steel and light. This is the platform. It is a monument to human engineering, a vertical factory built to withstand hurricanes and 100-foot waves. As the helicopter lands on the helideck, the noise changes. The thump of the rotors is replaced by a deeper, industrial hum. It is the sound of generators, pumps, and the drill itself, a constant vibration that you feel in your bones. The air smells of salt, diesel, and something metallic. A crew member meets you. They don't ask about your flight. They point to the nearest muster station. They show you the location of your assigned lifeboat. The first lesson is always the same: how to survive if everything goes wrong. This is not a suggestion. It is a condition of being here. An offshore platform is an island of industry. It can be located over 100 miles from the nearest coastline. The water below it might be thousands of feet deep. The structure itself is a marvel. From the seabed to the top of its drilling derrick, it can be taller than a 40-story building. Only the top portion is visible above the waves. This visible part is called the topside. It holds the drilling equipment, the processing facilities, and the living quarters for the crew. A typical large platform is home to around 200 people at any given time. These people keep the platform running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Its purpose is simple but incredibly complex. It drills deep into the Earth's crust, miles below the ocean floor. It finds pockets of oil and natural gas. Then it extracts them. This is a job that never stops. The platform is designed to produce continuously. A single large platform can produce over 100,000 barrels of oil every day. That is enough to fill millions of cars with gasoline. It also produces natural gas, which is used to generate electricity and heat homes. The platform is not just a drill. It is also a power plant, a processing facility, and a hotel. It must generate its own electricity using massive diesel or gas turbine generators. It must have systems to separate the oil, gas, and water that come up from the well. It must have desalination units to create fresh water from the sea, and it must house and feed its entire crew. There are different types of platforms. Some in shallower water stand on giant steel legs fixed to the ocean floor. These are called fixed platforms. In deeper water, the platforms must float. A semi-submersible platform floats on huge pontoons, like a catamaran. It is anchored to the seabed with a complex system of chains and cables. A tension leg platform floats on a hollow hull, but it is tethered to the seabed by strong steel tendons. These tendons are pulled so tight that they prevent the platform from moving up and down with the waves. This is the platform's one and only metaphor. It is a steel island built by humans. Everything needed to sustain it must be brought in by helicopter or by supply boat. People, food, mail, and spare parts all arrive by air. Heavier equipment, pipes, and drilling chemicals arrive on large boats that carefully navigate up to the platform's cranes. Nothing is wasted. Every piece of equipment has a purpose. Every person has a job. The entire system is designed for maximum efficiency and, above all, maximum safety. The distance from land is not just a physical barrier. It is a psychological one. When you are on the platform, the world ashore feels like a different planet. The crew is a carefully organized team. Each person has a specific role and a clear place in the hierarchy. At the very top is the Offshore Installation Manager, or OIM. The OIM is the absolute authority on the platform. By law, they are responsible for the safety and well-being of every single person on board. Their decisions are final. The OIM is like the captain of a ship. They are in charge of everything, from drilling operations to what-s for dinner. Below the OIM are the department supervisors. The drilling supervisor manages the drill floor. The maintenance supervisor keeps the machinery running. The production supervisor oversees the processing of oil and gas. These are experienced professionals who have worked their way up over many years. The bulk of the crew performs the hands-on work. A common entry-level position is the roustabout. Roustabouts do general labor. They clean the decks, paint, load, and unload supplies, and assist the more skilled workers. It is hard, physical work, often in difficult weather. It is the proving ground for a career offshore. Those who prove themselves might become roughnecks. Roughnecks work on the drill floor, the very heart of the operation. This is one of the most dangerous places on the platform. They handle the heavy sections of drill pipe, operate machinery, and work with high-pressure systems. The job requires strength, speed, and constant awareness. The driller is the person who controls the drill. They work from a high-tech control cabin called a doghouse, located on the drill floor. They use a complex system of joysticks, gauges, and screens to control the drill bit miles below the ocean. It is a job of immense skill and responsibility. The platform also needs a team of mechanics, electricians, and technicians. They are the lifeblood of the operation. They maintain the engines, repair the pumps, and fix the electrical systems. Without them, the entire platform would grind to a halt. Finally, there is the support staff. The medics are responsible for the health of the crew. They handle everything from minor cuts to life-threatening emergencies. The catering crew cooks the meals and cleans the living quarters. Their work is essential for morale. People work on a rotational schedule. A typical rotation is 28 days on the platform, followed by 28 days off at home. Others might work 14 days on and 14 days off. While on board, the workday is always 12 hours long. There are no weekends, no holidays, No days off. You work your shift, you eat, you sleep, and you do it all over again the next day. The pay is the main attraction. Offshore workers can earn significantly more than their counterparts on land. This high pay is compensation for the risks, the long hours, and the time spent away from family. It is a trade-off that thousands of people make. They trade their time and comfort for a chance to build a better life for their families back home. Life in the accommodation block is compact and efficient. This is the part of the platform where the crew lives and sleeps. It is a solid, windowless block of steel designed to protect its inhabitants from noise, weather, and in the worst case, fire. Space is the most valuable commodity. Living quarters are small and shared. A typical cabin houses 2 people in bunk beds. Some rooms might have 4. Each person gets a bed, a small locker for their belongings, and perhaps a small desk. There is no privacy. You share your small space with a person you might have just met. In some very crowded situations, a system called hot racking or hot bunking is used. This means one bunk is shared by 2 workers on opposite 12-hour shifts. When the day shift worker wakes up at 5:30 a.m., their bunkmate from the night shift has just finished work. As one leaves the cabin, the other arrives to take their place in the still warm bed. This system maximizes the use of limited space, but it erases any sense of personal territory. Your bed is not truly your own. Rest is not a luxury here. It is a critical part of the safety system. Fatigue is one of the biggest dangers offshore. A tired mind makes mistakes. A moment of inattention on the drill floor or in the engine room can lead to a catastrophic accident. The 12-hour shifts are demanding. When a worker is off shift, their time is for eating, basic recreation, and most importantly, sleeping. The company enforces strict rest periods. The constant noise is a major challenge. Outside the living quarters, the platform is a storm of sound. The roar of the generators, the high-pitched whine of turbines, and the percussive clang of metal on metal can reach over 110 decibels. This is as loud as a chainsaw or a live rock concert. Hearing protection is mandatory everywhere outside the accommodation block. Inside, things are quieter, but the noise never truly goes away. There is a constant, low-frequency hum from the machinery that permeates the entire structure. You feel it as a slight vibration in the floor and the walls. Light sleepers often struggle. Earplugs are a standard part of every worker's kit. Even basic comforts are managed and rationed. Fresh water is a precious resource. It is made by desalinating seawater, an energy-intensive process. Showers are often limited. A sign on the wall might ask you to keep your shower to 5 minutes. Laundry is usually handled by a dedicated service. You drop your dirty work clothes in a bin, and they reappear, clean, a day later. These small details paint a picture of a life where personal convenience is secondary to the needs of the collective operation. You sleep when you are told to sleep. You eat when you are told to eat. You work when you are told to work. Your life is structured around the relentless rhythm of the machine you live on. Food is the fuel for the crew, and the galley is the heart of the platform. Morale can rise and fall with the quality of the meals. A good catering crew is as important as a good driller. The logistics of feeding 200 people 3 large meals a day, hundreds of miles from shore, are immense. Everything arrives by a weekly supply boat. This boat brings in tons of food at a time. Crates of fresh vegetables, pallets of frozen meat, sacks of flour, and mountains of snacks are all carefully lifted onto the platform by crane. The head cook must plan menus weeks in advance. They need to ensure there is enough food to last until the next delivery, with extra in case a storm delays the boat. The galley is open 24 hours a day. It has to serve both the day shift and the night shift. When the day crew is having dinner at 6 p.m., the night crew is having their breakfast before starting their shift. The quality of the food is often surprisingly high. Companies know that good food is one of the few comforts they can offer their workers. It is a sign of respect. The meals are usually served buffet style. There are multiple hot options, a large salad bar, fresh fruit, and a tempting array of desserts. The clatter of plates and silverware is a welcome sound. The smell of roasting chicken can be a relief after a long shift, smelling of grease and steel. Mealtimes are the most important social events on the platform. This is where the crew comes together. Roustabouts sit with engineers. Medics chat with mechanics. It's a time to relax, share stories, and connect with fellow workers. The conversations are a mix of work talk, jokes, and news from home. Special theme nights are a welcome ritual to break the monotony. Taco Tuesday or Steak Night on Fridays are highlights of the week. These small events give people something to look forward to. They provide a sense of rhythm in a place where every day can feel the same. The coffee pot is always full. A hot cup of coffee at 3 a.m. during a long night shift is a small but vital pleasure. Vending machines are stocked with candy, chips, and sodas, available anytime. These are not just snacks. They are a small piece of normalcy, a taste of life back on land. A happy crew is a safe and productive crew. When the food is bad, spirits drop. Complaints multiply. People feel undervalued. A well-fed crew feels cared for. They have the energy to do their demanding jobs and the positive attitude to work together as a team. In this isolated world of steel, a good meal is a powerful force. It is a reminder of comfort, of community, and of the simple pleasures that make the hardship worthwhile. The platform is a single, massive machine designed to perform one of the most difficult tasks on Earth. To understand it, you must look at its core systems. The most visible part is the drilling system. It all starts with the derrick. The derrick is the tall, lattice-like tower that rises from the center of the platform. Its main job is to act as a giant crane. It lifts and lowers enormous sections of pipe and equipment. The workhorse of the derrick is a system of pulleys and cables called the block and tackle, which can lift hundreds of tons. The drill string is what actually goes into the ground. It is not one long piece of pipe. It is made of many individual sections of heavy steel pipe, each about 30 feet long. The roughnecks on the drill floor connect these sections one by one as the well gets deeper. A completed drill string can be over 5 miles long. At the very end of the drill string is the drill bit. This is the cutting tool that grinds through solid rock. There are many types of bits. Some have hardened steel teeth, like a gear. Others are embedded with industrial diamonds for cutting through the hardest rock formations. The bit spins thousands of feet below the seabed, slowly chewing its way down. A crucial and often misunderstood part of the system is the drilling mud. This is not simple mud. It is a highly engineered liquid. a complex mixture of water, clay, and special chemicals. It is pumped down the inside of the drill string, out through nozzles in the drill bit. And then it flows back up to the surface in the space around the pipe. The mud does three critical jobs. First, it cools and lubricates the spinning drill bit. Second, it carries the crushed rock cuttings back to the surface for disposal. Third, and most importantly, the weight of the mud column creates pressure in the well. This pressure pushes back against the oil and gas in the rock formations, preventing them from rushing to the surface in a dangerous blowout. None of this can happen without power. The platform is its own self-contained power station. It is typically powered by several large gas turbine or diesel generators. These are the same type of engines found in jet aircraft or locomotives. They run constantly, providing the millions of watts of electricity needed to power the drills, pumps, cranes, and living quarters. The platform consumes enough energy to power a small town. Once oil and gas are reached, the processing systems take over. The fluid that comes up from the well is a raw mixture of oil, gas, water, and sand. The platform has a miniature refinery on its decks. Large vessels called separators use pressure and gravity to separate the oil, gas, and water into different streams. The oil and gas are treated to meet quality standards. Then, they are sent to shore through underwater pipelines or loaded onto tanker ships. The entire operation is protected by the most important safety device on the platform, the blowout preventer, or BOP. The BOP is a massive stack of powerful hydraulic valves located on the seabed at the top of the well. If the drilling mud fails and high-pressure oil or gas starts to surge up the well, the BOP is the last line of defense. Its giant steel rams can slice through the drill pipe itself and seal the well completely, stopping a blowout before it can become a disaster. The physical dangers of an oil platform are obvious. The mental strain is a quieter, more personal challenge. The most powerful force is isolation. You are physically separated from the rest of the world by 100 miles of ocean. You cannot simply walk away. You cannot go for a drive to clear your head. You are confined to a few acres of steel for weeks at a time. This confinement can create a feeling of being trapped. Contact with family and loved ones is limited. While satellite internet is available, it is often slow and unreliable. Video calls can be choppy and frustrating. Phone calls are a lifeline, but the time difference and opposite work schedules can make them difficult. You miss out on the small, everyday moments of life at home. You miss birthdays, you miss anniversaries, you miss school plays and family dinners. You become a visitor in your own life, present for only half the year. The monotony of the schedule is another heavy weight. Every day is nearly identical. Wake up, eat, work a 12-hour shift, eat, sleep, repeat. The scenery never changes. The work, while demanding, can be repetitive. This relentless sameness can grind a person down. It blurs the days together into one long shift. The only thing that changes is the number on the calendar, slowly counting down to the day you get to go home. Living in such a small, enclosed space with the same group of people presents its own set of pressures. There is no escape from your co-workers. You work with them, eat with them, and live in a small cabin next to them. A minor annoyance, a person who snores, a colleague who complains too much, can grow into a major source of irritation over several weeks. You must learn to be tolerant, patient, and diplomatic. Losing your temper is not an option. You have to find a way to get along, because you depend on these same people for your safety. To cope, workers develop strong mental routines. They focus on the job at hand, breaking down the long rotation into a series of small, manageable tasks. They create rituals for their downtime. Many find escape in the platform's small gym, pushing weights or running on a treadmill to burn off stress. Others lose themselves in books or movies in the recreation room. Friendships become incredibly important. The bonds formed offshore are powerful. Your crewmates are the only people who truly understand what your life is like. They become your temporary family. They share the same jokes, the same complaints, and the same longing for home. They are the people who will notice if you are having a bad day and offer a quiet word of support. Everyone has one focus: the end of the hitch. They talk about what they will do on their time off. They plan vacations. They dream about seeing their families. This forward-looking focus is a vital coping mechanism. It is a reminder that this isolated life is temporary, and that a world of freedom and family waits for them on the other side of the helicopter flight home. On July 6, 1988, the Piper Alpha platform in the North Sea was destroyed by a series of massive explosions and a fire. The disaster was a turning point for the entire offshore industry. It was a brutal lesson written in fire and loss. In a single night, 167 men lost their lives. Only 61 survived. The cause was not a storm or a major structural failure. It began with a routine maintenance task and a simple failure in communication. A pressure safety valve had been removed from a pump for service. A temporary hand-tightened metal plate was put in its place. The day shift workers who did the job filled out the necessary paperwork, but did not personally tell the night shift crew about the missing valve. When the night shift came on duty, they found that a different pump in the same system had failed. They looked at the records and saw that the first pump, the one with the missing valve, was available for use. Unaware of the danger, they turned it on. Highly flammable gas condensate leaked from the poorly sealed plate. A gas cloud formed, found an ignition source, and exploded. The initial blast killed several people and started a large fire. Critically, it also destroyed the platform's main control room. This meant there was no one to coordinate an emergency response. A second, much larger pipeline carrying gas from a nearby platform also ruptured in the heat. This fed the fire with an enormous amount of fuel, turning the platform into a raging inferno. The platform's firefighting systems, designed to handle liquid oil fires, were useless against the massive gas fire. The structure melted and collapsed into the sea. The tragedy of Piper Alpha led to a public inquiry known as the Cullen Report. Its findings changed the safety culture of the offshore world forever. The report issued over 100 recommendations that became the foundation of modern offshore safety. The most important change was the introduction of the safety case. Before Piper Alpha, companies were simply required to follow a set of prescribed rules. The Cullen Report argued this was not enough. Now, the platform operator itself must prove to the government regulator that the platform is safe. They must write a detailed document, the safety case. that identifies all major accident hazards. It must then explain in detail how those risks are managed and controlled. The platform is not allowed to operate without an approved safety case. Another critical lesson was the failure of communication between shifts. This led to the universal adoption of strict permit-to-work (PTW) systems. Today, no non-routine maintenance job, especially on critical equipment, can be done without a formal written permit. This permit clearly states the work to be done, the equipment involved, the necessary safety precautions, and the people responsible. The permit must be signed by supervisors from both the department doing the work and the department that owns the equipment. It ensures that everyone on every shift knows exactly what is happening. The disaster also clarified the absolute authority of the offshore installation manager. The Cullen report reinforced that the OIM has the ultimate responsibility for the safety of everyone on the platform, and their authority in an emergency is total. Piper Alpha taught the industry a painful truth. Safety is not just a department or a book of rules. It is a culture that must be actively managed from the top down and practiced by every single person, every single day. The 167 men who died did not die in vain. Their loss forced a revolution in safety that has saved countless lives in the decades since. Modern safety on an oil platform is built on a foundation of procedures, technology, and personal responsibility. It is a proactive system designed to prevent accidents before they happen. This culture is a direct legacy of disasters like Piper Alpha. It is visible in every action, every day. The permit to work, or PTW system, is a cornerstone of this culture. Imagine a welder needs to repair a pipe. They cannot just start working. First, they must fill out a permit. The permit details the exact location, the type of work, and the tools to be used. It requires a risk assessment. What are the dangers? Is there a risk of fire? Are there flammable materials nearby? The permit then lists the controls needed to make the job safe. This might include having a fire watch person standing by with an extinguisher, checking the atmosphere for gas, and shutting down nearby equipment. The permit must be reviewed and signed by multiple supervisors before any work can begin. This paper trail creates accountability and forces everyone to think about safety before acting. The platform is equipped with a sophisticated network of alarms. There are detectors for smoke, heat, and flammable gas all over the facility. If a detector is triggered, an alarm sounds throughout the platform. The crew is trained to recognize different alarm tones. A general platform alarm might be a continuous siren, signaling everyone to proceed to their muster station. A fire alarm could be an intermittent tone. Each sound has a specific meaning and requires a specific response. Drills are held constantly, often without warning, to ensure that the crew's response is immediate and correct. One of the most powerful safety tools is Stop Work Authority, or SWA. This policy gives every single person on the platform, from the most junior trainee to the most senior manager, the absolute right and responsibility to stop any job they believe is unsafe. There is no penalty for using Stop Work Authority, even if the concern turns out to be a false alarm. This empowers the entire workforce to be safety officers. If a roustabout sees a crane operator lifting a load in high winds and feels it is dangerous, they can raise their hand and say, stop the job. The work must stop immediately until the concern is addressed. This creates a culture where safety is a shared responsibility, not just a management duty. In the event of a catastrophic failure, the final line of defense is evacuation. When the order is given, the crew proceeds from their muster stations to the lifeboats. These are not ordinary boats. They are totally enclosed, motor-propelled survival craft, or Tempe SCs. They are essentially bright orange, fire-resistant capsules. They are equipped with their own air supply, allowing them to travel through a burning oil slick. They have water sprinklers to cool the exterior. The crew straps into their seats, the doors are sealed, and a single lever releases the boat, allowing it to slide down a ramp or be lowered into the sea. Far from the danger, these systems and procedures create a web of safety. They are designed to catch human error, to manage risk, and to provide a path to survival when all else fails. The intense pressure and isolation of offshore life create a unique and powerful crew culture. This culture is built on trust, dark humor, and unspoken acts of kindness. It is a brotherhood and sisterhood that can only be understood by those who have lived it. There are no formal dialogues, just small scenes that play out every day. A new worker, a green hand, is on the deck, struggling to use a heavy wrench. He is fumbling, clearly nervous about being watched. An older, more experienced worker walks over. He doesn't criticize or shout. He quietly takes the wrench, adjusts the green hand's grip, and shows him how to use his body weight for leverage. Then he pats him on the back and says, "Don't worry, we were all useless once." The green hand cracks a smile. The tension is broken. He is now part of the team, learning the right way from someone who knows. Humor is a vital coping mechanism. It is often black humor, making light of the constant danger. It is a way of acknowledging the risk without letting it paralyze them. The jokes are a shield against fear and a language that everyone on board understands. Kindness is often quiet and practical. During a meal in the galley, a driller is staring at his phone, his face pale. He has received bad news from home. His crewmates at the table notice but don't pry. They finish their meal and leave him in peace. Later that evening, as he sits alone in the TV room, one of his colleagues walks in and places a can of soda and a chocolate bar on the table next to him, without saying a word. It is a small gesture that says, "We know you're hurting. We are here for you." They look out for one another in ways that people on the mainland might not understand. Their survival depends on it. There are unwritten rituals that mark the passage of time. The biggest one is Chopper Day, the day a crew change is scheduled. On the last day of a hitch, the mood on the platform shifts. People seem lighter, their steps are quicker. They do their final tasks, clean their work areas, and write detailed handover notes for the crew that is flying in. They pack their small bags. When the helicopter lands, there is a formal but friendly handover. The arriving crew is briefed on the status of operations. The departing crew wishes them a safe hitch. As they board the helicopter and strap in, there is a collective sigh of relief. The liftoff, leaving the steel island behind, is a moment of pure freedom. The foundation of this entire culture is trust. You must trust that the person working next to you has done their training. You must trust that the mechanic has properly serviced the engine. You must trust that the cook has prepared safe food. Above all, you must trust that if you get into trouble, your crewmates will do everything in their power to help you. This absolute reliance on one another forges bonds that are stronger than ordinary friendships. They are bonds built in a shared world of risk and sacrifice. The world of offshore oil and gas is on the cusp of a profound transformation. The steel islands that have powered the globe for decades are facing a future shaped by new technology, harsher environments, and a global shift in energy. The next frontier of this industry will look very different from the last. The first major change is the rise of automation and remote operation. To improve safety and efficiency, companies are working to remove people from the most dangerous parts of the platform. Robotic arms are being installed on drill floors to handle the heavy, repetitive task of connecting pipes, a job traditionally done by roughnecks. Automated systems can monitor equipment and predict failures before they happen. The ultimate goal for some new projects is the platform of the future, a smaller, highly automated facility that can be largely controlled from a central command center on shore. This reduces the number of people who have to live offshore, lowering risk and cost. It changes the job from a hands-on physical role to a more technical, monitoring role. The second frontier is the push into more extreme environments, particularly the Arctic. As older oil fields decline, the search for new resources leads to some of the most challenging places on the planet. Operating in the Arctic means dealing with sub-zero temperatures that can make steel brittle. It means engineering platforms that can withstand the force of moving sea ice. Some designs are built on massive concrete bases that can resist an impact from an iceberg. Others are designed to be quickly disconnected from their wells and moved out of the way of danger. These operations carry immense environmental risk. A spill in the cold, dark waters of the Arctic would be incredibly difficult to clean up and could have devastating consequences for the fragile ecosystem. The third and most significant change is the global energy transition. As the world moves toward renewable energy sources like wind and solar, the long-term role of oil and gas is changing. This does not necessarily mean the end of offshore platforms and the skills of the people who work on them. Many of these platforms are being considered for a new purpose: carbon capture and storage. The idea is to capture carbon dioxide emissions from industrial plants on land, transport the CO2 to the platforms, and then pump it deep underground into the now empty oil and gas reservoirs for permanent storage. The infrastructure and expertise of the offshore industry are perfectly suited for this new task. Furthermore, the rapid growth of offshore wind farms requires a workforce with similar skills. Building and maintaining giant wind turbines in the harsh marine environment is a complex engineering challenge. Many offshore oil and gas workers are already retraining, applying their knowledge of the sea and heavy machinery to the new world of renewable energy. The future is a mix of old and new. For decades to come, these platforms will still be needed to provide the energy the world relies on, but they will also evolve, becoming smarter, safer, and perhaps, eventually, part of the solution to a changing climate. The brutal truth about life on an oil platform is not just one thing. It is a collection of contrasts. It is a world of immense technological power and profound human vulnerability. It is a place of extreme isolation that is connected to every corner of the global economy. It is a job that demands strict, rigid adherence to rules, yet requires the deep personal bond of absolute trust between crewmates. We started with a rule: 120 seconds to reach your muster station. This is a rule born from failure, a lesson learned from past disasters. It represents the cold, hard reality of the risks involved, but the real story is not the rule itself. It is the people who choose to live by it. They are men and women from all walks of life. They are engineers, cooks, mechanics, and geologists. They are fathers missing their child's first steps. They are mothers coordinating their family's life from 1,000 miles away. They accept the trade-off. They give up half of their lives, half of their time with family, to work in one of the most demanding environments ever created by man. They do it for the high pay, for the challenge, for the camaraderie, and to build a better future for those they leave behind on shore. Their work is largely invisible to the rest of us. We see the final product, the gasoline at the pump, the warmth from our furnace, the plastic in our everyday objects. We rarely see the origin. We don't see the 12-hour night shift in a winter storm in the North Sea. We don't see the complex calculations required to drill a well 3 miles deep. We don't see the quiet loneliness of a small cabin after a difficult call home. The Steel Island is a place of immense pressure, both literally and figuratively. The pressure of the deep ocean. The pressure of the oil and gas in the reservoir, the pressure to produce, and the pressure to do it all perfectly, without a single mistake. The people who thrive here are a special breed. They are resilient, disciplined, and deeply practical. They understand that their own survival is tied to the survival of the person next to them. This creates a culture that is, in its own way, profoundly human. It strips away the non-essentials and focuses on what truly matters: competence, trust, and looking out for one another. The next time you fill your car or turn on a light, you might remember this place. You might remember the Steel Island and the people who live by the clock, by the rules, and by their trust in each other. Their sacrifice and skill power our world in ways we are only just beginning to understand. This work is often invisible, but the rules they live by affect us all. If this taught you something real, subscribe so the next story finds you. The engineering and the human spirit on display here are remarkable. YouTube queued up a good follow-up. See how these rules hold up elsewhere.